Good evening and welcome to this evening's organ recital here at St. Peter's Church, featuring our E.M. Skinner organ, Opus 862. You may have already known that this organ is highly regarded among Skinner organ enthusiasts, but you may not have known that it has a nickname. If you know what the nickname is, please go ahead and type it in the comments section on this live stream, and I'll get back to that in a little bit. We're beginning our recital with an organ arrangement by Marcel Dupré of Bach's Sinfonia from his cantata number 29. We thank you, God, we thank you. The cantata opens with this sinfonia, which is scored for a festive orchestra of trumpets, timpani, oboes, string, and organ. And about that nickname, our organ's nickname is Margie. The next piece is an organ setting by Bach of the hymn All Glory Be to God on High, which can be found in our hymnal as hymn 421. This piece comes from a collection that was prepared by Bach during the last decade of his life and represents the pinnacle of his sacred organ works. Some things worth noting and listening for in this piece include the hymn melody, which is found in the tenor part rather than the soprano part, symbolizing Jesus as mediator between heaven and earth. The melody is heavily ornamented, as you can hear in the first phrase. So here's the original phrase in the soprano part. And then Bach places it in the tenor, representing Jesus, and ornaments it. In the second phrase, the tenor part actually ascends above all the other parts, representing the text describing Jesus as the only begotten Son of his heavenly maker, And here, right there is where the tenor part is above all the other parts. And then another place I would like to point out is one of the most dramatic parts of this setting. And it's where all the other parts drop out and you just have the tenor part. And the tenor part takes on a recitative character at these words: reconciler of those who were lost, appeaser of our discord. And at that point, you have that passage. And what Bach highlights is the tritone in the recitative part, as well as in the harmony. And the tritone is the most unstable interval in the scale. So he uses that to symbolically portray the text. And then finally, on the last verse, where the phrase mentions, "Have mercy on all," Bach adds a second voice to that tenor part that ascends. As though prayers ascending to heaven, which is also represented in the final phrase or coda of the piece. And then Bach just ends it with a quarter note, as though the prayers have just gone to heaven. Here is Bach's All Glory Be to God on High. Our next piece comes from Dan Locklear's Liturgical Suite for Organ, entitled Rubrics. The Book of Common Prayer is full of rubrics, which are phrases that provide instruction on what to do in a service. The rubric, "The Peace May Be Exchanged," is the title of the fourth movement that Matt is about to play. It's interesting to note that movements from Locklear's rubrics were heard at the Washington National Cathedral for the funeral service of President Ronald Reagan in 2004, and for the 2009 Martin Luther King service during the inauguration of President Barack Obama. Our next piece is Bach's Fugue in G minor, popularly known as the Little Fugue, and was written early in Bach's career during his years at Arnstadt. Publishers of Bach's organ works attached this title to distinguish it from the later Fantasy and Fugue in G minor, which is longer in duration. This is one of Bach's best-known fugues and has been arranged for other instruments, including an orchestral version by Leopold Stokowski. Now it's time for our contest. In the spirit of NPR's weekly news quiz, Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, the first listener who can identify the number of times the theme of the fugue is heard, including the first time, will win a custom recorded greeting by any one of our staff members for their voicemail. An additional custom recorded greeting will be made for the listener who knows the number of times the theme is heard in major, not minor. So the theme is good luck. 1926 and 1927, before a recital tour of America, Louis Vierne composed 4 suites he titled Pièces de Fantaisie. Each set includes 6 movements, each of which was dedicated to an American organist or organ builder that he would visit on tour. Matt is going to play the toccata in B-flat minor from the 2nd suite. This piece was dedicated to Alexander Russell, university organist at Princeton University, not too far from here.
Thank you for joining us in tonight's performance. We hope you enjoy the musical offerings featured this evening. If you would like to know more about St. Peter's Church, our worship service schedule, and other programs, visit our website www.stpetersvilla.org.